Hello everybody, it's Scottomato back for another Botania setup. Getting increasingly more complex as we go here, but we're also making more and more mana as we go. So let's take a look at this setup. This one is for the Kekimurus, which is a happy little flower that loves to eat cake. You feed the Kekimurus cake, the Kekimurus gives you mana. So it's a pretty good little trade there. Let's see the setup. To produce cakes, it's obviously a bit of a complex crafting recipe. So you're going to need milk and sugar and eggs and wheat. So I have a farm here that's being controlled by the Actually Additions farmer, which can farm both wheat and sugarcane. And I have it laid out in such a way that I'm getting pretty much the ratio that I need, which is 1 sugar or 2 sugars to 3 wheat. And I have worms from Actually Additions on each corner of the farm here. There's 3 right there. And then there's 3 over here. And they are providing a bone meal effect to the wheat to grow. And then for the sugar cane, I have snad. It's planted on snad. Snad is a mod that gives you accelerated growth on cactus and on sugarcane, and it just takes 2 sand to make 1 snad. So those are growing on snad to get their bone meal effect. And so this guy is just harvesting him, and we'll get into detail about this setup here in a minute. But basically, after harvesting, it's sending sugarcane here to this mechanical crafter from Extra Utilities to make the sugar, and then to another mechanical crafter, which is assembling the whole cake recipe. Right? So it's easy to get the crops that we need using that setup. Then the only challenge is getting the milk and the eggs. So for the eggs, I have this little pen made, which has around 10 chickens in it, and they're producing eggs and obviously feathers, which are being picked up by the hopper hawk here. And so the hopper hawk is set up in such a way that I have the Tater, you just love it here. I have a egg, an item frame with the egg here that feeds the eggs here into the crafter, and then I just have an overflow storage drawer with void mutes, void upgrades to get rid of the excess flowers, and then seeds if this guy fills up. If the farmer fills up with too many seeds, then they'll get dropped on the ground, should get dropped on the ground, in which they'll go into this being picked up by the hopper hawk. All right, so we also have Milk Dud the cow here, my little buddy, providing endless amounts of milk, and that's being milked by the mechanical user set in entity mode. All right, and this is also set to redstone off is what will trigger it. And I have a total of 9 milk buckets that are moving back and forth. So the milk buckets are getting here, crafted, coming in full, and then going over to going back here where this is the retrieval node that's getting the buckets. And then I have a transfer node at the bottom that's sending out buckets of milk. So they just continually move back and forth. And this, by the way, is the bottleneck in the system from these Extra Utilities pipes. The more of a network you get, the slower they get. So I have speed upgrades, 4 of them in each one of those. And then I have some speed upgrades. See if I can reach it. There, I have 4 in this transfer node, which is pulling the sugar, the wheat, and the milk into it out of this. And then the final one is a retrieval node with 2 speed upgrades to move the cakes over faster. All right, so this is the mechanical user as well, and it's set into use item on block, and that's what places the cakes. Let me see if my pool is filled. No. So realistically, I'm getting a cake. Again, the problem is the slow transfer of these, so you could get better pipes, which would speed it up quite a bit. Let me see what's going on with the milk over here. That's pretty much what you need to watch, is if the milk's coming back and forth, because you'll get plenty of sugar, plenty of wheat, and plenty of eggs from these. So let's see, I changed a redstone setup just before. So that output is on. Okay, so the circuit is disabled at the moment because I'm doing the same thing that I have been doing in the other setups, which is if the mana pool gets to 90%, it'll trigger the comparator here. Now I'm using redstone wireless transmitters from RF Tools, so they'll turn off this mechanical user and this mechanical user, and they're linked wirelessly to do that, which makes sense because these guys can make some lags on servers, especially this entity milking thing. And I know that you can use the drum of gathering and all of that from Botania to do it, but again, it's more of an immersive in-world type of crafting, and ultimately this is a simpler way of doing it. So let me just empty this mana pool here a little bit so we can get it going again. See which mode it's in. Okay, so we'll just empty out a little bit of the mana, and so it'll start running again. Because you're going to get a cake about every 30 seconds easily. And so you're going to produce a ton of mana from doing that. And it seems that the farms can keep up pretty well. And I haven't had the milk keeps up in the milking just fine. The transfer a little bit slower, so could upgrade it to Exonet or some better types of cables if you want to do that, but I'm trying to keep consistent in what I'm doing. So you can see the milk moving back and forth. The buckets will go back to there, and then he'll get milked, and he'll send it back over. So that's a pretty simple way of doing it, actually. I do have enchanted soil here. You don't necessarily need it, but if you've come across an overgrowth seed, which this is a mid to late game setup, so hopefully you have discovered one of those. I think it just makes him eat the cake faster. That was just kind of a test, and it'll eat cake faster. Basically, it doubles the speed of whatever the flour does. Now, a new thing I've added in here that you could transfer over to other setups is I've added the burger mute. Instead of the sound muffler from Extra Utilities, I use the burger mute. This one's a floating one that'll mute or quiet the sounds for the mana pool or mana spreader and the cake to a degree. And then I have just the regular one here, which is quieting the chickens and the cows. Because I'm using a number of speed upgrades, then you will need some kind of way to generate grid power for Extra Utilities. I needed 15.2 for what I'm doing, So I just made a simple one that will make 16 from a single water mill to do that. So pretty much that's it. I do have a spark on here, or there's no spark here, but there's a dominant spark on this guy for a diluted mana pool. And one thing I'm doing, I have a mana spreader here, and then I have the mana flux field, which is converting mana into RF power. So the RF power for this farmer is actually coming from this mana overflow. Now you probably want to fill it first with a capacitor of some type, and then let this just maintain the RF power level. It uses a little bit of RF power every time that it harvests, and this keeps up in a great way. You can see that when there's some harvesting, then there'll be some mana that's pushed from this pool to this pool over there. So let's look at the little cake eating. This guy just loves cake. He'll just eat cake after cake after cake. And then Tater is just keeping everything under control here. He's my supervisor. And you can see that it's pretty much as fast as you can go. There's another cake. And so this is going to produce tons of mana for you, especially by the time you've got the farm set up and you've laid everything out. Then you should definitely have enough resources that it will get started with your first cake and continue on from there. So that's about as simple as I could do it, providing all of the resources. If you know a simpler way, you know some optimizations, then please leave them in the comments and let me know. And let me know if you like this video. And it'd be cool to see it if you put it in some of your builds or your variations on it. But please hit that like button if you like this video. And if not, if you don't like this video for some reason, then please let me know why, so I can improve and so Tater can stay happy. Tater needs to be happy. All right, so thanks for watching, guys. This is Scottomato with another Botania setup. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.